No ideas of this evening's theme? What is this? Pause. Pause where? Power of pausing. Very interesting topic. And we have our guest speaker, Diya Rewani with us. I know Diya for a long time. She's sweet. She's part of a Inner Space family team. Also, Diya is a business consultant with a background in management science from the UCL School of Management, and she raised in Dubai. And Diya brings a global perspective to her work, and also she has been practicing meditation with Brahma Kumaris for a few years. So please welcome Diya. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today evening's talk. So, if you have been at the meditation center before, you must have noticed a trend of things that we tend to explain. There is some similarity, and the meditation practice that we do here is based on one very simple concept, a very fundamental concept, which is that I am a spiritual being. And what this does is it pushes me to go inside. It takes me from limited world that I live in towards an unlimited space. And when I think of myself as an inner being or a soul, there are some qualities that I have within me naturally. I do not have to go anywhere to find them. And these virtues are, we have 5 main ones and then a lot of other small ones as well. If you have time before you leave this evening after the talk, you can have a look at the virtue wheel that we have got here. The 5 main virtues are peace, purity, love, wisdom, and joy. And when I find out that I have these things within me naturally, it empowers me. It tells me that I do not have to go anywhere to find them, right? So I'll just give a very simple example. Let's say you want to make a sandwich, and you go to the kitchen, open your fridge, and there is no bread. And you go down to the grocery store, purchase some bread, come home, and make yourself a sandwich. Later in the day, when you are just browsing around the house, you open the fridge and you see that you had bread already, but it was hiding somewhere. Something was hiding it. In this example, we find out that I had something with me already, but I went and found it from outside because I didn't realize that I had it. Well, in this situation of a bread, there isn't much difference between the bread that I had at home versus the bread that I bought. It was a like-for-like comparison. But what happens in my daily life when, for instance, I'm looking for something like happiness, which is within me, but I'm finding it outside? What happens is that the comparison of the happiness I have within me versus outside is not like for like. The type of happiness I get from limited things like food, outings is limited. It's not permanent. And it's conditional. It's temporary. Versus what I have inside me is unlimited, unconditional, unlimited, and permanent, right? So the comparison is not like for like. And as a result, what happens is that my search never ends. Like when I have things, I want more. It's like I'm never satisfied with what I really have. If I go around the world and ask people, are you satisfied with what you have? I don't think I'm going to find anyone because it's something I'm trying to compare something which is not like for like. So it's like I will continue to search for it. And that's when it's really important for me to go inwards. Another example is of a king. He owned a diamond, and a very precious diamond. And one morning he realized he didn't have it anymore. So he went around the village trying to find it. Got really tired, tried to find it, couldn't find it. When he came home, it was right under the cupboard. He didn't realize it. He already had it. Similar to that, it's already within me. I cannot find it outside. And when I understand that, life becomes so much good. I empower myself, right? So, coming back to today's topic, which is power to pause. What happens when I step into this field of action, which is the world today? When I step into the world drama, especially in today's times where everything is so uncertain, things are chaotic. It's as though the world is designed to make me forget about what I have. So when I go into the field of action, I forget. I forget that I have these things with me, right? It happens. Like I come to the meditation center, I feel good, I'm empowered, but when I go out, I'm drained again. And that happens because I forget about it. I forget I have these things within me. Let's say you go to work today, it's very chaotic, you're caught with a lot of fires, this thing needs to be done, this thing changed. Quite normal, but uncertain. And you feel very peaceless. And that is when it is important to pause. Look inwards that I have peace within me. Use that peace to my advantage. Just an example. I'm sure we all have blenders at home, right? What happens when you're trying to blend a very thick smoothie and it's taking time? You will realize if you do not stop the blender in middle and mix things, the engine of smoothie the blender starts to heat up. And if you do not stop it, even after it has become very hot, it would shut down automatically. Similar to that, it's very important for us in our real lives when we are going through so much action, doing so much work. It's important that we pause and charge my spiritual battery. Because, as I said, world today is designed to make me forget about the things I have within me already. And once I learn that I have it within me, I play with these virtues. It's important that I keep reminding myself till it becomes a habit. Just another thing, it's something that has worked for me personally. So when I'm taking these moments of pause, it's important that I play with things that I enjoy, which I feel empower me. One thing that works for me is that when I take a pause, I stop. It could be even a minute every hour. I stop what I'm doing and see the whole situation like I'm watching a movie, right? So in movie, there's scenes, and look at myself as an actor who's playing the part. And what this would do is, from me being in the movie, when I'm outside, it's an entertainment. But if I'm inside it, it can be stressful. And I remember when I was in school and when we used to have these skits, the actor that had interesting roles, had variety of roles, used to have the pride that I've got so many roles, right? And when I detach myself from what's happening and I look at myself as an actor, I will appreciate the variety I have in my role. And this detachment would also make me feel very light because, after all, I'm just an actor, right? So that's what happens when I think I'm the inner being. Outside is a drama. I am the actor. Things become more like a game. I do not feel the burden anymore. Right? If you have been coming here for a while, you would also know every hour we have a minute of music that plays. That's because that's the time that we pause. Another thing that I would like to share upon is the power of thoughts. We think about thoughts, we all have thoughts, and thoughts are like an energy, right? What I think about defines how I feel, how I behave, etc. So, for example, if I'm watching a movie and certain things happening in the movie, based on what's happening in the movie, my mind is going to process these scenarios in the movie and it would give me a certain feeling. So, if I think about something positive that has happened in past for me, it's a very happy day, make me feel happy. If I think about a sad day, I might start crying. Maybe I'm sitting here, same place, same time, but my thoughts are really defining the way I feel. So it's important. I think about it like my mind is a machine that creates thoughts. Its job is to create thoughts, so I cannot stop it, but I can definitely choose what thoughts I'm creating. So there are four types of thoughts. Firstly, it's positive thoughts, negative thoughts, obvious ones. And then we have necessary thoughts, which are useful, and waste thoughts. The thoughts that drain my inner battery are waste thoughts and negative thoughts. So let's think of an example of a factory, and we have got machine that creates, let's say, a product, right? So in factory, if you see the workflow, like the process map of how things work, you will see there is a time that is given for quality inspection. So at this time, an inspector would go around the factory and see if all the machines are producing products which are of good quality. Why is that? Because if the product is not of good quality, the factory is wasting its resources, its time, because this time could have been used for creating useful products, for creating good products, but it is creating the faulty products which cannot be sold. So it's waste, right? So if they find there's a machine that's creating faulty products, it is going to check what's wrong with the machine, optimize it. So it creates the products which can be sold. Similar to that, my mind is like a machine. It's creating thoughts. And every hour when I pause, I need to check what kind of thoughts it's creating. If it's creating good thoughts, that's lifting my energy up. But if it's creating waste or negative thoughts, that's draining my energy. And it's a loss for me. It's a big loss. So if I think about it more like a business that I'm doing within me, no one likes to make a loss. So I will realize it's like pausing is like quality inspection, like checking what kind of thoughts I'm creating. Remember, I was in Dubai at a meditation center, and I was at one of these talks as an audience, and there was a guest that we had. She was traveling. The speaker was traveling Dubai just for 2 days, and the talk was at 7:30 in the evening or something. And she mentioned during her talk was um, traffic control. we got a practical example of what I was just talking about. So, so, so I went this talk because she mentioned in the middle of the talk, I have been awake since 2 a.m. in the morning. Do I look tired? And I was shocked. It's like, I didn't wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, but I'm so tired. How come she looks like so fresh? And she said, my secret. Do you want to know my secret? And I was like, yeah, of course. I would like to be active, just like her. And she said, that's because I take a pause. So she said she doesn't let her thoughts drain her energy at all. And I could see a practical example of that. It's because sometimes maybe I do have physical work, even mental work. So I do a desk job. So it's not like I'm roaming around the office. It's like I'm sitting on a desk, but it requires mental effort. But which are the thoughts that I'm creating which are draining my energy more than I need? So, yeah, that was an interesting example. Another example was in December 1985. Brahma Kumaris, which is this organization, they launched a campaign, an initiative with UN, which was called Million Minutes of Peace Appeal. And the inspiration behind that was UN was honoring the year of 1986 as the year of peace. And that's why a lot of campaigns were going on in terms of activism, in terms of peace outside. But Brahma Kumaris, they recognize that it all starts with having peace within, realizing that I have peace within. It's like phrase that we use. It's called world transformation through self-transformation. And this was UN's largest non-funding initiative. And it was a very simple concept. Everyone had to just pause and offer their minute for peace for the world. And this is something everyone could offer, right? Because everyone has peace within them. This was a really fantastic realization people all around the world had. As companies, they've paused in middle of their meetings, in government meetings also. And this led to Brahma Kumaris winning 7 Peace Messenger Awards. It was a fantastic result. So if so many people around the world realize that the importance of that pausing surely is something which is impactful. So I was just when I came to know about the topic of today's talk, I just wrote down some things which have helped me in my spiritual journey and taking a pause and recharging my inner battery, and I will be sharing them. So firstly, that one thing that has helped me is I pick a virtue for the day. So it could be peace, purity, whatever. I randomly pick a virtue for the day. And when I pause, I emerge this virtue within me. I practice, I play around with it. So this has been something which is really helpful. Second, if you go on YouTube, you have and type just a minute meditation, you will have a playlist of 1 minute meditations, and you can use this commentary, just a minute. So you can use 1 minute and play this commentary and during your pauses. Thirdly, which I still do, is I have an app in my phone which is called B Zone. I'm sure most of you would have heard about it, but it will play a music every minute for you. Then another thing I do is I write down points that touch me. So when I'm coming to talks like these or when I'm reading a book, I write down something I like, and then when I'm taking a pause, I would just read that. So it's like feeding my mind. So it's like a mental diet, right? Like how you take care of physical diet. It's when it's like a mental diet. And lastly, which is very important, is start and end your day with meditation. That's because if you have not done meditation before going to sleep, you might have a rough morning. So it goes in a cycle. So you have to start somewhere. So starting and ending the day with meditation is very important. Another thing, the biggest benefit of pausing is that I go from react mode to respond mode. Let me explain this a bit further. So as I mentioned earlier, the world today is designed to make me forget about my qualities, right? So whenever I step into a situation, it is as though the situation is trying to disrupt my inner world of these virtues. It's trying to push them, punch them, and it's wanting a reaction out of me, which is not representative of the qualities that I have. So let's say, maybe think about the situation when you last got really angry or frustrated, right? It was like the situation was designed, and I felt like there is no way I cannot get angry because this is unacceptable, right? So we all go through it. So it's as though when I'm reacting to situations like this, it's as though I'm like a puppet, and the situation is kind of like the puppet master. Yeah. But I do not want to be the slave of the situations that I come across, of the physical elements. I do not want to be a slave. I do not want the weather, which is very uncertain in London, to decide how I feel. So I go from, when I take a pause, I protect my inner world and process what's happening and give output by purifying the emotions through my virtues. I become a master. I decide how I feel. It's very empowering. It's also, I remember when I just started working, when we have training, which was not too long ago, they told that if someone sends you a strong email, don't reply to it immediately. Think about it for some time, step over it. One other practice they teach us is that you delay your emails. So whenever you reply, make sure the Outlook is designed in a way that it's not immediately sent. So you have like few minutes to change it after you've sent it. There are very good reasons for that. One thing I personally like to do when I'm in very tough situations, uncomfortable situations, be it at work or personal life, and I feel like things are going against me, and I do not know how to respond, I would just choose not to respond. I would say, okay, I'll come back to it. I'm not sure. I need time to think about this. And it's okay to do that. Wrong reaction is making the other person wait is better than giving them a reaction which is not correct. That's something that I found it really helpful, because when you're in the situation, when you're put into the situation, it might seem right to fight, be frustrated, but when you wait, think about situation as a whole, detach yourself, apply your wisdom, your virtues, you will realize how you will make the right decision, you will protect your inner peace, and things will not go against you because you made the right decision. So it really helps sharpening your vocabulary, your reactions. And people are not scared of you. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to share was increasing my self-respect. Pausing does increase my self-respect. And how that happens is very simple, is that when I'm in the world, when I started spirituality, I started noticing something very similar in people around me, was that, well, they were always looking for something, right? Either it can be your approval, your attention, they're looking for love. So everyone is just looking for something subconsciously. Might not be something physical, but when I realized that everything I'm looking for outside is within me, then I stopped looking for it. And this increases my self-respect, really sharpens my personality. Even if I might not have something physical facility, I'm still always in my self respect. I do not feel inferior regardless of whom I'm meeting. In fact, rather than asking for things, I'm able to offer it to people. It's a very powerful situation, right? Because before I was asking for it, but now I am able to offer it. And offering does not have to be, you have to go tell them nice words. No, you can offer them something with your mind. So if you are in a stage where you're content, you are happy, you are loving, then you automatically offer it to others. Anyone who will come in contact with you is going to feel the vibration of acceptance. And that's also something I experienced after I started spirituality, was that I was able to offer it to others. And it's very empowering when I'm able to offer these things. Some other points that I wanted to share about pausing is that when I was not doing meditation, I used to think thoughts are not something which are bad. Thoughts are bad. So I need to stop thinking. But when I started practicing meditation, I realized actually thoughts are not bad. They're very useful. But it's the quality of thoughts that are important. It's what kind of things that I'm thinking are important. And at the moment, what has happened is that I've created a habit of creating waste, negative. Maybe everything is going fine, but does it happen sometimes that your mind, it creates something extremely, something that's not going to happen, and you start worrying about it, even though you know, and then if you have someone with you, they're going to tell you, why are you worrying about that? That's not going to happen. But because your mind has created that habit of creating waste, negativity, it is going to continue doing that. So how do I break that practice? One example of that was that someone gave me was, imagine I give you a glass of dirty water, right? How do you make the water clean without throwing the dirty water away? How do you have the glass filled with clean water without throwing the dirty water again? I think the mic is going to come.
So I've seen this video where there's dirty water in a cup
Yeah.
and you switch the tap on. There's
Oh.
fresh water that keeps pouring inside, and you'll not see a change. But then eventually you'll see how the dirty water is like
Yeah.
rising up and it all goes away. And after a while, there's only like clean water in it. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
process. I mean, like
Exactly.
gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Spot on. Yeah. Exactly. That's what, right? So cannot just throw my mind away. Can't do that. I need to input. So there are two types of thinking. One is habitual thinking and creative thinking. So habitual thinking is when I leave my mind alone, think whatever you want, keep thinking. And that's when the cycle would go on. But if I want to purify my thoughts, I need to input useful things. One example could be coming to a talk like this and picking up some points that you like and churning on that. We could be reading a book. It could be, if you go to the Inner Space Wembley YouTube, you will have a bunch of talks that you can listen to. Could be anything, anything you do, which will be kind of like an inflow of good thoughts. You'll know what makes you feel good after when you listen to it, right? But if you, for example, watch a very violent movie before going to bed, you will realize how at night you're still churning on that, right? While you're sleeping, and your sleep is not that powerful. That's when you understand the thoughts, how thoughts work and how they impact your energy. So yes, that was a really good example of how I go from habitual thinking to creative thinking. Has anyone heard of creative thinking before? You have? Okay. Do you practice it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And also when I was talking about the 5 virtues that I have within me already, was more like it's like on top of that I really understand like what peace means, what purity means, what joy means. But when I practice it during my meditation, I will realize what it deeply means, what it means to feel like that. And I remember when I think about my life, quite young, but like past, let's say, like since when I was born till today. When is the time when I have felt most happy, like deeply happy? It's not been when let's say, when I had an external achievement or I got something I wanted. It's actually been during my meditation when I deeply connected with myself and experienced these qualities within me. Another thing is experiencing the qualities that I have within me. And secondly is connecting with the source, right? Connecting with the divine higher power, who is the ocean of these qualities, and taking it from there. Because that's where I can actually really charge my spiritual battery. So when I connect with the higher power, who is the ocean of love, ocean of purity, ocean of happiness, that is when I feel something is coming to me in an unlimited way. It's not when I go out into the world trying to figure things out, trying to check how that's what I want, that's what I want. It's like what I like to call it is like a mirage. Like, when you in mirage, it's like you see this water, go closer, it's not there. It's like that's what I think we do when we get materialistic. Is that we keep going around trying to look for it. We think it's going to make us happy, but once we get it, we realize nothing much has changed. So if I think about myself, let's say 5 years ago, there's some things I wanted to achieve in life, right? So for me was to go to a good university, to go to get a job, let's say. So we all have our own set of things that we wanted to do. And now, 5 years later, a lot of that we have ticked off. But has my happiness gone up the same way of my achievements? That's what I like to think, because I started meditation 3 years ago. It's still a very 5 years is a practical example for me. So when I think about it, I realize it's all a mirage. I thought once I get this, I would be the happiest person in the world. I thought once I get this, but the list keeps on increasing. And I don't really find it, right? And one thing is, when I was talking about starting and ending your day with meditation, I was at a point where I would start my day with meditation fully powered, and I'll forget about it for the day. And only when it's evening and I'm like, okay, fine, I need to sit back again and do meditation. Realize that a lot of things I did during the day were not aligned to my natural qualities. Could be something very small, like maybe let's say I was in a meeting and someone was being very difficult. I'm a consultant, so I need to give advice to client, and it's a lot of times I need to get their buy-in. I realized I started arguing, and I was like, did I really have to react that way? That's when it's like when you do it and then you realize this sudden realization, right? Whenever you do something which is not right, you realize it suddenly. Like it's not like someone has to come and tell you. That's the beauty when you start meditating. It's like you realize it instantly. Like, no, this is not correct. So that was because I was not pausing in middle. It's not keeping it's not sustaining that energy with me. It's not like, let's say you go to your child, the child goes to a market with the mother. He doesn't just leave the hand and then only comes back when it's time to leave. Just stays with the mother for the whole time. Similar to that, I have to, because I'm so used to forgetting about my inequalities, I need to keep reminding myself that I am this in order for me to not be drained. I actually do something at the moment, not very consistent with it, but it's really helpful. Is every hour during my pause, I kind of inspect what happened the last hour, how good I was, how good I was in realizing that I'm an inner being. Did I get materialistic? Did I get body conscious? This could be like something very small. Maybe I was just looking at an Excel sheet and I was doing analysis. Maybe 50% of my brain was into that, but I used the other 50% of the energy in thinking about things which are not positive, waste. And one thing is that I personally realized this was watching movies drain my energy. It's like full of waste. It's meant to kind of trigger some emotions in you, and it does it in a very interesting way. But what happens once you've finished watching that? You're still thinking about the scenarios, and you act like as though you're part of the movie, even when you're not. And you think, oh, I wouldn't have done that. That was not right. And then you're like churning on it, and you don't realize where all your energy goes. You suddenly feel so tired. And it's also like, I would say it's like a temporary escape from reality. Whenever something, let's say it happened to me, like people go through stress eating, whenever something happens which is not the way I wanted, I end up doing things like scrolling down my phone, eating junk, um, so many things which I know are not good for me, but I do it. And I remember when I used to do that a while ago, I used to tell myself, well, I don't drink, but it's like drinking alcohol because you're temporarily escaping from reality, but it makes you feel worse. And I kept telling myself this, like, no, don't do that. Don't go to Instagram. Don't watch all those things which are not good for you. And I realized how much energy I saved doing that. It's like I'm kind of like suppressing my emotions by doing these things, but they're still within me. I've not got rid of them. So those were some of my thoughts on pausing. Be happy to have any questions if anyone has got any questions. Mike?
Hi, thank you for that talk. I just wanted to pick up on what you said about movies and things.
Yeah.
Because, I am an actor.
Okay.
And
No.
I have done short films and I do loads and loads of theatre.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with either escaping. I don't even know if it is escaping. It's just, it's a form of entertainment. It depends what kind of things you want to go for. It's like I write plays, and I write plays sometimes on topics that I think should be highlighted in society. Let's say bullying or something like that. I'm writing a play for my friend, finished writing a play for my friend at the moment about how he was bullied for being gay when he was young. And we're going to hopefully take that round to the schools as well. And it's quite heavy because it's real of what is going on. If you want to go and see a play like that, fine. If you want to go see Mary Poppins, go see Mary Poppins. But I don't think, because otherwise I could feel quite guilty about that, because this is my industry. So I watch a lot of things. I watch a lot of dramas. I love a lot of movies. I don't feel that I want to have to feel guilty or that I'm escaping. Sometimes I know that maybe I'm watching a film just because there's too much going on and I know that I can get away. And it's usually something very light that I'm not concentrating on very much. But I just think that I don't want to feel that
Yeah.
I'm doing something wrong when I'm
Yeah.
either performing or
Yeah.
watching something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I didn't make myself fully clear, but it's like when I go back home, my dad, he loves watching movies. And one thing I do with him is that to spend time with him is that I watch movies with him. And I've realized one thing is that a lot of movies that come at the moment, like not old movies. If I watch old movies, they're quite more meaningful. But at this present point of time, a lot of them are not meaningful. They are showing something which is immoral, and those type of movies, I would say, do not watch it. But in terms of watching movies like how you mentioned that about bullying, which highlight a certain message, I do watch those kind of movies. And I do feel like by watching these kind of movies, I empower myself. I realize about a topic that I didn't know about before. And going forward, because I have got a good learning from this movie, I will make sure that next time when I am in an environment, how I can make someone feel more comfortable, because now I understand their perspective. So that's very good. And you do not have to feel guilty about it. And in terms of temporary escapism, if you think it's not bad for you, that's fine. But what I felt was that when I was doing this kind of temporarily escaping from my reality, I was not feeling much better later. It was like I was suppressing my emotions. So let's say something happened and I was sad about it. I was suppressing it. And at some point of time later in my life, it would come up again in a stronger form. And I realized that I wanted to address it when it came rather than addressing it later. So it's like I'm accumulating, right? So yeah, it's really good that you're making such kind of meaningful movies. And yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Yeah. You need the after that, yeah.
You mentioned about how important it is for us to change our thought process from negative thoughts or whatever we qualify as negative, suppress them, try to suppress them. I see suppression as again a spring.
Spring, yeah.
Yeah, you can suppress. But just now, a minute back, you said it will come back.
Yeah.
And 100% with more intensity.
Yeah.
So all my life, I've kind of thought that acceptance is better than suppression.
Yeah.
And what I believe my colleague was talking about, that she's accepted making movies with good cause will lead to good outcomes.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to hear your thoughts on, like, we can suppress, but we can also realign same energy to something that yields a positive result. Better said than done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try that every day and fail, sometimes miserably, sometimes succeed. But are there any practical tips? Again, what can I do to ensure when I pause, I don't have to really suppress, or I don't have to think of it as a burden.
Yeah.
Rather, accept it with full arms open, something like that. What can I do? What do you think is possible for all of us, that we can just accept what's happening and channelize energy somewhere else?
Yeah. Firstly, you need courage, like courage to face what's happening, right? So let's say maybe someone spoke to you in a certain way, and sometimes you don't even want to think about it. It's like, I don't want to think about it. It's like, firstly, it's having the courage to face. Secondly, I would say it's honesty. It's something I learned quite late in my spiritual journey. Not late, but quite after when I started, like a couple of years after, is that wasn't being honest even to myself. Even if something made me feel sad, I would say, no, I shouldn't be feeling this way. No, leave it. But it was making me feel sad. It was giving me sorrow. Firstly, it's being very honest with your feelings to yourself. It takes a lot of courage, I would say. Sometimes you don't want to do it. Maybe you don't feel comfortable. Something that has helped me is to write down my feelings. But sometimes it's a mess in your mind, all the things that are going on. But when you write it, you realize that you simplify it. So it's writing, and then it's also then understanding, what did I learn from it? What can I do so that in future, if the same thing happens, I do not feel this way. Another thing is, what did the situation teach me? It's like sometimes learning is so much bigger than what happened. And it's also noticing certain trigger points. So let's say someone did something to you which was horrible. In your head, you're like, okay, I forgive them. It's fine. It did teach me whatever happened is the past. And suddenly, let's say after months, you meet this person again. They didn't do something horrible, but they maybe said a word which wasn't nice. And suddenly all those things start coming up again. And you realize that you never got rid of them. You were still holding them, but it was like kind of like hiding somewhere inside of you. So it's like, one thing is that we talk about is, one thing is like you either tear a paper or you burn it. So maybe you tore the paper and it came back together, but you need to burn it to get fully rid of it. And it takes practice. It's not I wouldn't say it's like a one-day job, because we like to get fast results, but it takes practice, I would say. It's like knowing yourself, getting to know yourself better and better each day.
Thank you.
She had a question.
Thank you for the talk. I just wanted to just sort of say something with regards to just going back on using like the media as a form of like pause. For me, because of the atmosphere that I work with, without actually saying who I work with, I found that coming home from a really stressful day, I would, rather than sort of come home, there's times that I want to come home and share stuff with my family, but then I don't, because some of the things are just so intense.
Yeah.
So my pause, using like media as a pause, would be to find something like some crazy comedy or something, like,
Okay.
and I would just sit there, and
Yeah.
it would sometimes help quite a bit. Then
Yeah.
I would just lose myself in that sort of scenario. I would try not to watch anything that's too serious, because then that becomes into your subconscious,
Yeah.
and then I'm taking that stuff with me to play.
Yeah.
Or if I watch something, then I can sometimes share it with someone, because sometimes
Yeah.
there's good information there. You want to share it with somebody. But I find that, using the media sometimes, whatever it is, and there's some good stuff.
Yeah.
I find that it helps with just a balance for me. It helps me to sort of like balance my thoughts.
Yeah.
And just so that I can probably go to bed, not think about what happened today, even if I'm thinking about what's happening in that comedy that I'm watching, or that I've been watching, and I can probably do like that little calm down meditation before I go to bed. So, I think it's got its pluses and its minuses, and everyone kind of uses it really, to highlight whatever it is that makes them feel much better, which is what I do.
Yeah, I did mention when I was giving some practical tips of pausing, was that one of them was actually YouTube, a playlist of commentaries, and of course watching something which is positive. So yes, if something, as I said, has positive content that you're referring to, and it's making you feel joyful, it's making you feel happy, that is okay. It's okay to use that in your favor. As you mentioned, that if you're watching something violent, that makes you more serious, makes you feel more drained than the environment, than more than how you were feeling before. So yes, it's okay to use media to make you feel better, but it's also what I would do if I were you is kind of analyze what's happening throughout the day. What are some of the things which are making me feel drained out, making me feel serious, making me feel intense, and then seeing how do I go into these situations with a different perspective. Maybe I'm in a situation where I see a lot of people who are in sorrow, who are in need. How do I serve them with my mind? So if I am happy, if I'm filled with love, peace, I can offer it to them. So I would also think about it like, how can I make sure that tomorrow is better than today, even if the situation was the same, and how I can be resourceful in terms of my energy.
I love that actually. And the thing is that with the environment that I work with, you haven't got the time to stop and think about anything, because it's like as you step into the office, it's like 100% go.
Okay.
You know, I also, like when you were saying about pausing that email, and not sort of reacting. I find that that's something that's very good.
Yeah.
And I think that helps me a lot with sort of managing my own anger, because I think we all have a little bit of that going on. Something in the office will have, and I always try my best not to react straight away. I think, no, leave it. Sometimes I'll even leave it for another day.
Yeah.
And I'll go home and I'll go away from it and I'll think about it, and then I'll come back. Because when you go back, I find when I go back to, I'm in a different, my spirit is at a different level. I'm more calm, I'm more rational. I can think about it. And then sometimes I put myself into that person's sort of shoe to think, well, what is it in me that triggered that person off? What could I have done better? Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Another thing is that what I have learned is we often, whenever we are in an environment and someone said something, did something which I didn't appreciate, I take it personally. So I said, oh, this person said this about me, and something is wrong with me. I take it personally, but realize that a lot of times it's a reflection of what that person is going through. So it's like maybe someone is coming from a very rough environment and they talk to me in a certain way. First, because what that person is going through, what is going inside them. And then once I realize what they are going through, instead of feeling angry, I have a lot of mercy for them. It's like I want to offer them. It's like one thing is that don't take things personally. It's if someone is giving you feedback, I like to analyze how much of that is feedback and how much of that is their own emotions that they are trying to maybe they're jealous of me in certain way. It could be anything. Maybe this is something that triggered them. So I like to take the feedback. It's good to take the feedback, but at the same time, avoid all the other things that come with it, all the other layers of emotions. So any other questions? Okay. So we'll do guided meditation. So before starting the guided meditation, just like all of you to think about, the 5 qualities I mentioned that we have within ourselves, which is peace, purity, love, wisdom, joy. If you have something to write on it, or a phone. Think about only one thing for each of the 5 qualities. What is it that is not allowing me to feel? So peace, what is that is not allowing me to feel peaceful? It could be someone at work, a situation that is coming up. What is it that's not allowing me to feel joy? So think about one thing for each of the 5 virtues: is peace, purity, love, wisdom, and joy. So we'll do You can do that for another minute and then we'll start the meditation. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully you might have thought of or have written some things, even if you have not written all 5, that's okay. Bring your attention to the center of the forehead. Say, I'm a soul, a point of energy shining in the middle of the forehead. I have petals of 5 virtues radiating from me, just like a flower. The fragrance of these virtues is purifying my feelings and emotions. Now visualize a fire, a big fire in front of you. This fire is there to bring you benefit. Think about the 5 things that are not allowing you to be at your natural state. Think about holding a paper written with all of these 5 things. Now throw this paper in this fire. You know, anything that gets burned never comes back. You instantly feel light. The shine of the soul is intensified, and the intensity of your 5 virtues is increasing. Explore all of these virtues, the 5 elements of the soul. They belong to you. Nobody can take these away from you. Now hold on to these virtues and bring your attention back to the center of the forehead and come back to the room. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Diya, for the wonderful talk and all the tools and tips given. Before we go, there's a few announcements. Our next week, sometime same place, and the topic is being a Shakti, harnessing your unique power by our own Didi. Every Sunday morning that we do meditation, but which is online. If anybody wish to join, you can look through our website and you will get a link to join in. And the timing for that is 10 to 10:45. We also have tomorrow and Thursdays, the 19th and the 20th. It's the emerging stronger, letting go of the past. From 5:30 to 7, both days, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and our regular reflective meditations every Mondays and Thursdays, 7 to 7:30. So everybody's welcome to join. So once again, thank you for joining us and have a safe journey back home.